Good day. I am Mark Henzo Maranga of Group 2, here to state the presentation sequence and introduce the team. The presentation will start with discussing the description of proposed system, followed by presentation of business rules, followed by ER diagram and logical schema, followed by database diagram, followed by creation of database in MS SQL, lastly the presentation of the system. I will now introduce the team member with their assigned presentation. Agaton Paulo will be the presenter of system. Berba Gabriel will be the presenter of system. Clemente Andrea will be the presenter of MS SQL. Clemente Angela will be the presenter of MS SQL. Rosemary Cudera will be the presenter of system. Lipana Rendel will be the presenter of MS SQL. Manuel Arturo will be the presenter of system. And Maranga Markenzo will be the presenter of proposed system. Once again, good day. I am Mark Henzo A. Maranga, here to present the proposed system of our team. The task assigned to us is to create a library management system. We choose the Swits organization at Bulacan State University because it is an organization that is dedicated for IT students. They are considered as one of the most prominent organizations from Bulacan State University as awarded by the Office of the Student Organization. The Swits library management system is designed to organize the transactions made in the library of the organization. The organization's librarian has access to the data stored in the system and are capable of creating and updating the records. In addition, they can also retrieve the transactions that have been done all throughout the day. The business rule we formulated are: number 1, an issue record is associated to only one reader. Conversely, a reader can be associated to any number of issue record. Number 2, a reader can be associated to any number of return record. Conversely, a return record is associated to only one reader. Number 3, a book can be associated to one or more issue record. Conversely, an issue record is associated to only one book. Number 4, a return record is associated to only one issue record. Conversely, a return record can be associated to one or more issue record. The entity relationship diagram shows the business rule in the form of a diagram using Crowfoot notation. After that, we created a logical schema and normalized it to ensure that there are no anomalies will happen when the system is up and running. Lastly, after we encoded the database in MS SQL, we viewed the database diagram to ensure that our inputted codes were correct. Now, let's hear a presentation from Angela on the topic of the creation of a database in MS SQL.
Good day, I am Angela Clemente and I will be demonstrating the creation of database for the system using MS SQL. So first, we'll have to open the MS SQL. Here, I have already written the code for the creation of database and its table. So our database is named as Swits Library System. To create the database, we'll have to execute this and use. And to ensure that our database is created, it must appear on this panel. Then we'll proceed with the creation of tables. First table is named reader. Student ID is declared in data type varchar and it is our primary key for this table. Fname and Lname are both declared in data type varchar and it is indicated as not null. Phone number, email, year and section is also declared in data type varchar. And to create this table, we'll have to execute. Then for the next table, book, we have book number declared in data type varchar and it is our primary key for this table. Title is also declared in data type varchar and it is indicated as not null. Publisher is also declared as data type varchar. Pub date is declared as data type date. Number of copy and available are both declared as data type int. And to create this, we'll have to execute. And for the next table, issue B, issue ID is declared in data type int and we have used the identity column for this one so that the issue ID will start with 100 and for each record it will increment by 1. And it is our primary key for this table. Book number is declared as data type varchar. Title and student ID are both declared in data type varchar and it is indicated as not null. Fname and Lname are both declared as data type varchar. And date issue is declared as data type date time. And to create this table, we'll have to execute. And since we haven't added a foreign key constraint for book number and student ID, we'll have to use the alter table command. And we have to execute to add the foreign key constraint. And it is a success. And for the last table, return B, we have return ID declared as data type int, and we have also used the identity column so that the return ID will start with 200, and for each record, it will increment by 1. And also, return ID is our primary key for this table. Issue ID is declared as data type int, and it is indicated as not null, while student ID is declared as data type varchar and also indicated as not null. Fname and lname are both declared as data type varchar. Date return is declared as data type datetime. To create this, we'll have to execute, and since we haven't add a foreign key constraint for issue ID and student ID, we have to use the alter table for this one also. And then execute to add a foreign key constraint. And that is all for the creation of database, and now we'll proceed with the insertion of record, which will be done by Randall Lipana.
So, good day. My name is Rendel Elimana and I'm going to tackle and explain all about the insertion in our library management system in MS SQL Server. So, here in the diagram, we have readers. Inside the readers, student ID, first name, last name, phone number, email, year and section. So, in this query, we already have gathered some information about the student. Insert into first student ID the first name, last name, phone number, the email, and section. To display all the information of students, select asterisk from readers order by last name. Let's execute. So here the information of the student in library management system. We have 28 students with different year level, and going to get some information in student in first year. Select first name, last name, first name, year and section from readers where to get the information inside the year and section, like to search specific pattern in the column first name. Let's execute this one. So we have the information of all first year in our library management system. Let's proceed to insertion of books. Book information. In this diagram, we have book number, title of the book, the publisher, date of the publish, number of copy, and availability of the book. So we already have gathered some information about the books. Insert info into book, the value. So we have book number, title of the book, publisher, date of publish, number of copy, and availability of the books. So to display all the information of our books, we need to select asterisk from book order by number of copy for chronological order. Let's execute this. So here are the information of the books. We have 51 different books in our library management system. I'm going to select and display all books inside our library management system from oldest to latest. So select title of the book, mean to return the smallest values of selected column, publication date from book. Group by is to group the result of title and publication date. Group by for chronological order. Let's execute this one. So here the result of all the books inside our library management system from oldest to newest. That's all, and our next presenter is Miss Andrea Clemente. Thank you.
Hello, I am Andrea Clemente and I am going to discuss the data insertion and querying using the issue and return records in MS SQL. First, we're going to insert a new issue record, and these are the data that we're going to need. The issue ID, which is the primary key, has an identity constraint, which means it is auto-generated by the system. Then, the book number, book title, student ID, and student's first name and last name, then the date issued. In order to select the book number, let us view the book inventory. And let's try issuing a record under my name. And let's try issuing a record under my And let's try issuing a record under my name. First, we're gonna choose a book. This is the book number, then the book title, then the student number, and first name, last name, then the issue date. Okay, we have successfully added a new issue record. Let us view. Here, we can see the successfully added new record. Now, let's try adding a new return record. And these are the data that we're gonna need. Return ID, which is also auto-generated by the system. Issue ID from the issue records, student ID, first name and last name of the student, and date returned. In order to identify the issue ID, we're gonna select from the issue records. And let's return this book from Andrea Clemente with the issue ID 126. And then the student ID, student first name, last name, and return date. Okay, we have successfully added a new return record. Let us select from the return records to identify if the insert is successful. Okay, we have successfully added the record. Now, we'll make a query which will display the students who have not yet returned the book they borrowed. First, we'll select the return ID from the return records, issue ID, student ID, first name and last name, all from the issue records. Then, from return book records as R, write join to the issue book record as I. On R issue ID is equals to I issue ID. Now, let's execute. Here, we can see that there is a null value in the return ID because the student haven't returned the book they borrowed. And now, the next part of the presentation, which is the actual system demonstration, is going to be discussed by Paolo Agaton.
Show you the login form. I will show the scenario that username and password is wrong input and it can try 3 times. And if reach the max attempt, it will close the system. And as you can see, the maximum attempt, the system is closing. And it closes the system if the user is reached the 3 times attempt of inputting wrong username and password. And the system, it can accept the less than 6 characters on username and password. Good afternoon. My name is Paolo M. Agaton and I will show you the student form in this system that updating, adding, and deleting the student form that can input student. And I will show the search features to search the student information and print it. Next is update features to update or modify student information. And as you can see, my phone number and year in section is updated and stored in SQL in this table. Then the delete feature. It will delete entirely the student information based on student ID that searched previously. And this is my first name, last name that stored in database, and I will delete it. And check the view records, and my number is not existent in database. And lastly is view records. It presents a table that lists of students that store on SQL Server, and this is the students and their information that store in MS SQL Server.
Good day, everyone. Once again, my name is Rosemary Escudero, and today I am going to discuss the books form that we have in our Swits library management system. Let's get started. So the first transaction that we are going to do is to add a books. So in adding a books, the first thing that we need to input is the book number. Next is a publisher, stock as a number of stock, number of availability, the publication date, or the title. So, and the title. And now let's click the button add. So after clicking the button add, there was a pop-up message that will ask you, do you want to add data? And then you are going to click yes and added successfully. Okay, now we are going to view records. Let's find out the books that we added rather. And there you go, it was added on our database. And let's go back. And the next transaction that we're going to do is to search. So the only thing that the only thing you have is to input the book number, and then after inputting the book number, then click search, and the publisher, stack, availability, publication date, title will be displayed in the system that we have. Okay, next. The next transaction that we are going to do is to update our books. So as you can see, it was the stack earlier that we have is number 10. Now we are going to have 5. Also, we are going to change the publisher, the books, the publication date, but not the book number. And it will change into January 1, 2020. And the title, we are going to change it as added a book 101, and then click update. View records. Let's see, and then it changed the details. And deleting a record, as you can see, we are going to delete. Do you want to delete the data? And if you wanted to delete the data, then click yes. And then deleted successfully. Now we are going to try to search the book that we have. And then, sorry, record not found. Let's try again. And then view records, let's see. There's no bookstore 101 or bookstore that is included in our data. The next presenter that we have that will discuss the forms add issue will be Mr. Arturo Manuel Jr.
Good day, my name is Arturo Manuel Jr. and I will show you how to add the issue record in the system. First, we have to click the issue book. As we can see in the issue record, we have a book number to input the code of the book to show the book title. Then we have student ID to input the student ID of the student to show the first name and last name of the student. Then we have to click the issue date to separate or issue the book to the student. Input the book number, search, it will show the book title. Then input the student ID, hit search, it will appear the student first name and last name. We click the issue date, where the date where issue the book to the student. Click add, and then yes, and then booking. And we have to click the view record to ensure the record has been made. That's it, we have to view the record. In the issue record, there is some required input to follow. So as not to get an error in the system, you must input an exact number of the book and the student ID that has been in the database. Because if we do not input the exact number for the book and student, it will pop the record not found. We must input the exact number of the book number and exact number of the student to show the book title and the first name and last name of the student. Search. That's it. We have to click the issue date where we issue the book to the student. Click the date, and then add, and then yes, then okay. Then we have to click the view record to ensure the record has been made. And then that's it. We have just to add the issue record. The next presenter is Gabriel Berba.
Hi, I am Gabriel Angelo A. Burba, and I will talk about the add return date of the Swits library management system. In returning the book here in our system, you need to view the issue records of the book that has been borrowed. It will show you the issue ID that you will need in searching the book that has been borrowed. Then you will need to input the issue ID so that the record of the student will show and which book that has been borrowed. In returning the book, you will need to put the return date of the book. Then click add. Then here it will show the book that have been returned, and you can see it in the view records. So as you can see, the book has been returned by Paulo Agaton. So that's for the add return data of Swits library management system. Thank you for listening.